Hi and welcome to the channel. I have a fun video planned for you today. This video I'm going to be talking about cake, and what's more fun than cake except maybe boxed cake mixes and all the wonderful flavors. First I want to go over just a little history of how boxed cake mixes came to be, and maybe more importantly, and why you clicked this video, is what flavors did not quite stand the test of time. Now, for decades, fruitcake was the star of every celebration, including weddings. So wedding cakes would have had a fruitcake as the layer under the beautiful decoration. It was right around the turn of the century, as we left the 19th century and came into the 20th century. The Industrial Revolution happened. More of these goods were available to make these vanilla sponge type of cakes. Now, there were kind of rudimentary cake mixes made by local grocers where they would have had pre-measured ingredients like flour, sugar, leavening ingredients, possibly some flavors, maybe some powdered eggs, available in their stores for the convenience of their customers. And I could very easily imagine low-income families really appreciating this, because no matter how big your bank account is, your love is the same, right? So when it's your child's birthday, your loved one's birthday, your parent, your spouse, your sister, your brother, you want to make them a cake. That's part of our culture, and I think it always will be. But if you did not have to spend your, I don't know what the conversion rate would have been by then at that time now, but if you think maybe your grocery budget was $2 for the week for your household, and here you had to buy an entire sack of flour, an entire sack of sugar, and that would basically blow the family food budget for the week. So if you could just buy pre-measured ingredients for pennies, wouldn't that have been appealing to low-income people as well? So this was a very smart business decision on the part of the local grocer. Now let's look at who formally introduced boxed cake to the market. First introduced in the late 1920s, boxed cake mix gained popularity during the post-World War II era. The first boxed cake mix was developed and introduced by a few companies around the same time, each making significant contributions to this innovation. One of the pioneers in this area was the company P. Duff and Sons, which began producing the first commercially available boxed cake mix in the late 1920s. They created a mix called Duff's All-in-One Cake Mix. This mix only required the addition of water to create the cake batter. Another company, General Mills, through its famous Betty Crocker brand, made substantial advancements in the 1940s. They developed the first cake mix that required the addition of fresh eggs to the pre-mixed dry ingredients. This development significantly improved the taste and texture of the cakes. These early developments in boxed cake mixes revolutionized baking by offering convenience to homemakers. The mixes reduced the effort and time required to bake a cake, making baking more accessible to a broader range of consumers. While there isn't a single individual attributed to inventing the first boxed cake mix, these companies played a pivotal role in its development and introduction to the market. Marketing played a crucial role in the success of boxed cake mixes. Advertisements focused on the ease of preparation, time-saving benefits, and the ability to create a perfect cake every time, appealing to the modern housewife's desire for convenience. Now let's look at some of these discontinued flavors. Here with the black walnut cake, you can really see the marketing playing a pivotal role. It's talking specifically about adding eggs and baking up something grandmother would be proud to serve, and making it your specialty so that it's known in your household as a specialty cake that you make. Now the pink lemonade cake, this is an egg white cake or angel food cake that we call it today, and it probably had something like pink dye and citric acid to give it a tang. Now, something I've noticed while I was compiling all of these discontinued flavors is every one of the big names in box cake over the decades attempted an orange cake mix, and America apparently never quite took to it. Tell me, would you find an orange cake appealing? Another fruit cake that made quite an impression is the pineapple upside down cake. Now, the upside down cake in general has been around for centuries in various forms, but it gained significant popularity in the early to mid 20th century, particularly here in the United States. Now, the 50s era was categorized by a post-World War II boom, economic prosperity, and the rise of convenience in cooking and baking. As more households embraced modern kitchen appliances and prepackaged convenience foods such as these cake mixes, recipes like the upside down cake, especially the pineapple upside down cake, gained immense popularity. You might call it the avocado toast of its time. The pineapple upside down cake in particular became an iconic dessert during this time. It typically involved arranging pineapple rings in a pan, placing a maraschino cherry in the center of each ring, and pouring a caramelized mixture of butter and brown sugar over them before adding the cake batter. After baking, the cake was inverted onto a plate, revealing a beautifully decorated top with caramelized fruit. This cake's appeal lay in its simplicity, eye-catching presentation, and the convenience of using canned pineapple, making it an easily accessible dessert for home bakers. It was often featured in women's magazines, cookbooks, and advertisements, further popularizing the recipe. The pineapple upside down cake became a symbol of American home baking during the 1950s, reflecting the era's emphasis on domesticity, convenience, and the celebration of American culinary traditions. Its popularity endured for decades and continues to be a beloved classic dessert in many households. The banana sundae cake featured a banana cake layered with a fluffy marshmallow-like frosting, and for novelty's sake, the chocolate syrup was drizzled around the sides to create a sundae effect. Both Duncan Hines and Pillsbury tried their hand at something called burnt sugar cake. I feel like it suffered from the name instead of calling it properly caramel, where the sugar is caramelized to create a distinct and delicious flavor. What the pineapple upside down cake was to the 1950s, the pink azalea cake was to the 1960s. The pink azalea cake became a famous recipe in the 1960s, often associated with the Betty Crocker brand. It was a popular cake recipe that utilized a boxed cake mix as its base and gained attention for its unique appearance and flavor. The cake typically involved combining a white or yellow mix with strawberry gelatin, which gave the cake its distinct pink color and added a subtle strawberry flavor. The frosting was often made with whipped cream or a cream cheese-based frosting, sometimes also flavored with strawberry or another complementary fruit. The cake was frequently prepared in a bundt pan or as a layered cake, and it became a go-to dessert for various occasions due to its vibrant appearance and delicious taste. It was especially popular for spring and summer gatherings due to its pink hue reminiscent of blooming azalea flowers. The recipe was widely circulated through cookbooks, magazines, and advertisements, further popularizing the use of cake mixes in creative, inventive, and flavorful desserts. While the specific origins of the pink azalea cake might vary, its association with the 1960s and its connection to the rise of boxed cake mixes in American households are notable aspects of its culinary history. Here we see a variety of several flavor-moist cakes that did not quite make the test of time, and I will say I'm quite surprised to see a lemon cake in that mix because lemon tends to be a popular flavor. And this butterscotch crunch cake looks absolutely delicious with minced up almonds on top and a caramelized sugar to make a texture delight, I would imagine. I would be happy to eat that today. Now the stir and frost cake actually came with its own pan, so it was everything you needed to make a small 5x7 cake. I often think of this as a bachelor cake. Now, while this bundt cake did not live on, there's a bit of a story here, and I want to talk about the Bunt Pan specifically. The Bunt Pan itself has an interesting history tied to Nordic baking traditions and a pivotal moment in the mid-20th century that propelled it to fame in the United States. The Bunt Pan's origins are rooted in traditional European cake molds, particularly in Germany and Austria, where special molds called Bund or Buntkuchen were used to bake certain cakes. These cakes were often ring-shaped and made for special occasions or holidays. In the early 1950s, H. David Dahlquist, the founder of the Nordic Ware Company based in Minnesota, received a request from members of a local Hadassah Society, which is a Jewish women's volunteer organization. The request was to create a specialty cake pan inspired by the traditional European designs. They wanted a pan they could use to make the intricate Kugelhopf cake, a German and Austrian delicacy, without the complexities of the traditional pan. Dahlquist designed a cast aluminum pan with a distinctive fluted and grooved shape, along with a hole in the center that facilitated even baking. The name Bunt was coined to pay homage to the traditional Bunt cakes from Europe. The breakthrough for the Bunt Pan came in 1966, when a Texas woman named Ella Helfrich used a Bunt Pan to win the Pillsbury Bake-Off with her tunnel of fudge cake recipe. This victory brought immense attention to both the cake and the pan, leading to a surge in popularity for both Nordic Ware's Bunt Pan and Bunt cake recipes across the United States. The success of the tunnel of fudge cake catapulted the Bunt Pan into mainstream American kitchens. Nordic Ware saw a significant increase in sales, and the Bunt Pan became a staple in many households, offering home bakers an easy way to create beautifully shaped cakes. Since then, the Bunt Pan has remained an iconic and versatile baking tool with numerous variations of the pan's design and countless recipes developed specifically for its unique shape. It has become a symbol of American baking traditions, loved for its ability to create visually stunning cakes with ease. Tell me in the comments if you have some nostalgia for any of these boxed cake mixes. I remember maybe 2 or 3, and some of them I wish I was alive to have tasted in person, but I'd love to hear from you and know what your favorites are or what you might like to try were it to make a comeback.